In the United States of America, when we pledge allegiance to the flag of this country, we end by saying, "with liberty and justice for all." This is a powerful promise. This is what makes America great. It is also a standard that we have to live up to. We don't say, "with liberty for some and justice for others." We say, "with liberty and justice for all," and that means everybody. We don't say, "with liberty for rich men and justice for poor." I heard a song recently about rich men north of Richmond, and we don't say liberty for rich men north of Richmond or in New York or Texas or Hollywood or Silicon Valley or anywhere else. We don't say, "with liberty for people who think like me and justice for other people," or "liberty for people who go to church like me and justice for others." We don't say, "with liberty and justice for my political party, but no others." Liberty and justice are American values for everyone, regardless of who they are. And that is why the Department of Justice always used to talk about pursuing justice without fear or favor. That's what they used to say, regardless of political party. Not too long ago, during the presidency of Joe Biden, a Democratic senator named Bob Menendez from New Jersey was convicted of bribery, and a Republican congressman named George Santos from New York was convicted of wire fraud. During President Trump's first term, the Department of Justice convicted a Republican congressman named Chris Collins of insider trading. During Obama's presidency, a Democratic congressman from Illinois and a Republican congressman from Arizona were both convicted of wire fraud. The list goes on, but you get the point. The Department of Justice brings charges when they are warranted, regardless of political party. That's what it means to be American. And the Department of Justice does not bring charges when they are not warranted, because if someone is innocent, making them defend themselves in a court of law is a real burden. It takes time away, people lose jobs. And the President of the United States is supposed to nominate an Attorney General who will run the Department of Justice in a non-partisan way, a fair way to protect American liberties. And that is why it is so discouraging when the Department of Justice brings charges in response to social media posts by the President. U.S. attorneys refused to bring charges against a man named James Comey, who was the former FBI director, or against Letitia James, who is the New York State Attorney General. But when President Trump posted on some kind of social media a message to Attorney General Pam Bondi telling her to charge these people, she replaced the prosecutors with someone else who did file those charges. Now, I don't care whether President Trump is right or wrong that these two people are his political enemies. That's not the point. The point is the President of the United States of America should not be in a position to file charges against individual citizens whom he regards as his political enemies. And now, with the Epstein files, I try not to get sucked into conspiracy theories, and sometimes it's hard to know what's what online. Sometimes we have to think real hard. I didn't used to think there was anything in these Epstein files that people talk about. I thought that the Department of Justice would bring charges if they were warranted. And when earlier this year, Attorney General Pam Bondi and previous Attorney General earlier, Merrick Garland, said there were no other charges warranted, then I believed them because that's their job. We need a Department of Justice that only brings charges when they are warranted. But again, the President has posted on social media that the Department of Justice needs to bring charges against people named in Epstein's files, and Pam Bondi said yes. The problem is that the President only named Democrats to be charged, not any of the Republicans who are named in those emails. Liberty and justice are American values for everyone, regardless of political party. And it's not right to use the Department of Justice to go after a political party, whether Democrat or Republican. This isn't about any political party. I'm a proud and loyal American. And this use of the Department of Justice to bring charges against anyone the president calls for is anti-American. It's against our American values. We need to make this country great again, and we need to do that by returning to our American values. So when we end the Pledge of Allegiance by promising liberty and justice for all, that really does mean everyone.